Alrighty, we are live with the Saints post-game show, the show to get you in the know. I am here with Jason Watson. That was a heartbreaker at the end, man. I know a lot of people are gonna put that on Foster, but um, man, there's a lot going on in this game to where when you're coming down to Foster Moreau making a game tying touchdown pass, you expect a professional player to make that, right? But at the same time, just one of those positions. You don't want to put that kind of guy in. He's not out there to make those plays, but he came
Yeah.
up short. How you feeling so far, Jason?
I've, it was a tough angle, but we all saw it was in Moreau's hands, and that's just one that he's got to come down with, especially at that point in the game. Um, it's obviously tough to lose that way, but don't think the Saints should have even been in a position to tie the game up. So another loss added up to the board. We'll move on to next week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the biggest thing. We got Dylan hopping in with us real quick.
What's up? What's up? Can you guys hear me good?
Yeah, we can. What's
Yes,
going on, man?
Need to turn this way or this way. Okay, we're good. So I just want to hop in and say first off, you guys do great work, Jason. It's so good to finally see your face and watch you create. I saw a positive tonight, guys. You guys ready? So I saw a positive tonight. So we watched 3 quarters of a offense figuring it out. Correct? By the fourth quarter, we saw something happen when it went to the 2 minute drill. I think the positive I saw in tonight's game is maybe, just maybe, if we simplify the offense and this is going to sound elementary and it's going to sound frustrating because these are pro athletes and cars making 30 plus million a year. But what would it look like if instead of giving him 4 reads, you gave him 2 reads and then had drop a dump off in the flats or something like that? Because I just watched this game and I'm going to be honest, it was a moment during that game where I was praying that Blake could come out of retirement and just run one touchdown. It was that, and we know Jeff Blake wasn't even known as a runner. That's how bad it got for me. I didn't even say Aaron Brooks because you guys know I love Aaron Brooks. And, he's the most hated on quarterback in Saints history. But
What do you have him as? The number 8 in franchise history, right? 8.
not a chance. He's number 2 in my eyes.
Yeah,
He's number 2 in my eyes.
yeah.
But I want to know what do you guys think about that idea of potentially transitioning to a more of a up tempo style offense, getting up to the huddle quick, having 2 to 3 reads, and I mean, if you go back and watch the film, I just rewinded just a little bit of the game. Obviously, the Foster Moreau drop is a big deal, and you try not to go too hard on the guy because he's a pro, and he's probably going hard on himself, and I hate to see people on social media saying weird things like he should not be alive when they don't know what this man has just went through. You know what I mean? And so obviously that drop was a big thing. But I think in the process of us getting to that point, I think we saw something. So I want to know from you guys, especially you, Jason. I value, love what you write, love what you create. So we'd love to know what you guys think about that. Do you think it could be something that we can do, or is our team too slow from a athleticism standpoint to carry out an up tempo offense?
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, I appreciate the love, uh, but it was a small sample size, I feel, but in that sample size, we also saw the success. We saw them able to move the ball down the field easier, and it just looked a lot more fluid. Um, Obviously, Derek Carr isn't in that kind of prototypical like up tempo offensive scheme. And I really think that falls back on the offensive play calling also. Like, is that something that Pete Carmichael can actually get us into more? Will that lead to more success? But it was, I felt that it was really working against an aggressive Jaguars front seven because they came into the game ranked top three, I think, against the run, and we struggled to run the ball against them. I was not expecting us to have such a little performance there. Um, But I like the idea of trying to go up tempo with him. It would just be I would have to see more of it to be certain.
Yeah. What do you think, Ethan?
Yeah, no, I was finishing up the post game article, throwing in stats and everything like that, and I pretty much said in the post game article about the offense that um, the Saints has time to get it together in the NFC South, and I that those last couple of plays looked like it was kind of coming together. I don't know if that had something to do with just instinct, right? Because it's clear we have talent on offense. It's absolutely no question. I think we have, probably the best, the top five in the league for the wide receiver duo of Olave and Thomas. And then you add in Shaheed. I mean, and then you have Kamara in the backfield. You have Jamal Williams, who led the league in touchdowns. It feels like it's all there, right? And when that instinct kicks in, it's going to be better. I think Derek Carr has a lot on his shoulders. I feel like at some point or another, I always make the statement that when you're the constant in the equation, and the equation is always like wrong, right? Like eventually you have to look in. I don't know if that's the issue with Carr right now, right? But it just feels like when everyone else is miscommunicating and everyone else is off, maybe you need to do something. And your point about simplifying, I think that's perfect. One of my keys to the game before this game started was simplify the route running and simplify the offensive blocking. And it seems like we did that with the blocking, and we started to do that with the play calling towards the end of the game.
Yeah. Another question for you guys. You speaking on you, Ethan, you just said something big. You said route running. I don't know if I'm losing my mind, but I remember Olave's route running being his claim to fame last year. I'm not seeing his crisp cuts. I'm seeing giving up on routes midway through the routes. What do you guys attribute that to? Do you attribute it to he's just playing the play and he knows the play isn't for him, or do you think it's something deeper? Or because I mean, we knew him as, everybody calls Michael Thomas slant boy, but we knew Chris Olave as this man's routes are pristine. He gets to his spot and he gets to his next spot so smooth. I mean, I'm not going to say I was one of them, but there were certain individuals who were saying, man, this guy, he looks like he could be the next great route runner. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to disrespect any Hall of Famers because he's only a year or two guy. But have you guys been seeing that? Because, again, you guys are way more – I love the game of football and I study it, but not like you guys. What have you guys seen from him, and what are your thoughts on what you're saying? Am I off? And that's okay if I'm off. I'm just – I want to know what you guys see from the trained eye.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, he hasn't performed up to the level that we were all expecting him to. And I think that is due in large part to how he was involved with the offense last season, because we didn't have Michael Thomas last year. We were struggling to get the ball to any of our wide receivers and tight ends. So Chris Olave was kind of that standout dude. We focused more on him. And I feel like he had more attention to detail in that season because he felt it on his shoulders as he was the go-to man. Now having all of these offensive weapons back, I kind of tie that into the pressure on Derek Carr in the offense to where maybe there's too much talent at some points in the game on the field for the Saints offense because it's just we're all expecting somebody to go out and make this play happen on this drive. We're all expecting this person to go out and score a touchdown or perform in the red zone on this offensive series. And frankly, whenever we don't have those players making those big impact plays, it's hard for us to see any kind of positives with that when there's such high expectations there with them.
Yeah, I also just kind of echo what Jason said. It just, it feels like you're misutilizing guys when you got Michael Thomas running streaks down the field, slant boy or not. It's almost like the Taysom Hill play. Like, well, Taysom Hill just runs up the middle. Like, yeah, but if he gets 4 yards every play, 4 yards and 4 yards is 8 yards, which is 12 yards, which is the first down every 3 plays. To me, that's just simple math. If it works, it works. If you can't stop it, that's on you. I don't care if it's the slant. It feels like the fact that he's running these, back shoulder throws and these streaks, and it's like, man, just do what they're good at. I think Shaheed should be in the slot, just taking safeties out of the play, and then you should have Olave and Thomas on the outsides, just running the routes they're known to run. And I think, there was one play where Olave gave up, and in the post-game article, I have him on the stop down because I just feel like that is one thing we're seeing from him. He is giving up. I don't think it's right, but at the same time, I don't think it's right to have Olave running 30 yards down the field when you only need 6 yards. That's not, the announcer made a comment. He's like, he's known as a speedy guy. I think Olave is more of an agility guy. He's gonna beat you with cuts. He's gonna beat you with routes. He's not gonna beat you on pure speed. Now Shaheed, he's gonna beat you on pure speed. But Olave, that's not quite, what we expect from him. And can he catch the deep ball? Yeah, absolutely. But he's gonna burn somebody at the line, and that's how he's gonna get open for the deep ball. So we got David here calling out Dylan.
That he showed up. My guy, good to see you, bro. I wish you would come up on. I'm new to StreamYard, so I don't know if this is a stage or whatever this is. I want to hear your take, but you're probably busy working a 40-hour shift or something, knowing you, man.
I think he's actually at the game, so he might be in that 600 section fun. We'll call it. We'll leave it at that.
Jason, you said something about our line. You didn't think we would struggle a lot this game with the line. Struggle a lot with the run. If I'm being honest, I expected that struggle because of the shifts in the line and having to put certain, because I think it just came out this morning or something, or was it yesterday, that Penning wasn't starting, which is, come on, we got to have a conversation about that eventually. Obviously, this isn't the moment, but come on. I mean, to be a first-round pick, right? Wasn't he first, right? I'm not.
Yeah,
first-round pick to not be able to get on the field, even when there's injuries, there's something up with that. But with the shuffling of the O-line, and how aggressive this Jacksonville team plays, I kind of expected us not to run the ball really well, but what I didn't expect, and this is so when we signed Derek Carr, I expected to get a veteran quarterback. Let me let you know what I mean when I say that. The veteran QB has been around the block and has seen every defense that you could throw at him, right? And so in my mind, I was thinking we were going to get the veteran quarterback that he might not be able to out-athletic you, but because of his experience, not even his IQ, but his experience, he can remember what you're throwing out because he's seen it years before. I think the thing that I'm so surprised about is that even in this game and in previous games, it's almost like Derek Carr is so much more focused on yelling at the team for not being in the right spot than going and grabbing one of those tablets and saying, and this is me putting it into the thought space for you guys. Do you guys feel like he's doing a good job of adjusting in the middle of the games? And what are you seeing? And I'm sure I probably missed that. Y'all probably already talked about it because, again, you guys do a great job. But what are you seeing from Derek Carr's progression from game 1 to now we're at game 7 and we're 3 and 4? What are y'all seeing him make those adjustments, or does it still feel like he's figuring it out to you guys?
Well, to touch on the offensive line, I don't think I was more saying that I thought we were going to struggle running the ball. I was just saying that I feel like we should have leaned more on the run, or I felt we were going to lean more on the run than what we did, because I think Carr had another 50-plus pass attempt outing. I think he finished, 54, 55, and that's just insane to me, especially with the offensive line shuffling around. But as far as Derek Carr's progression goes from game to game, I feel like he was with one offensive schemes for so long with the Raiders over in Oakland and now Vegas. Coming into New Orleans and having to relearn with new teammates, new coaches, new scheme. I feel like he's done okay kind of picking up on things because obviously he has reason to be frustrated with some of the miscommunication, miscues that we've had on offense. But at the same time, he's also had his own fair share of errors and miscommunication. Um, so I think at some point, whether it be next week, next 2 weeks, or later on, possibly going into next season, I feel like we're going to see a much more settled down Derek Carr and being less aggressive, pointing out the errors, whereas going work with the teammates like he was talking with Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and Foster Moreau before that final drive to kind of go over a game plan in game type situations like that to figure out what needs to be done and what can be done to adjust for those.
I agree. I mean, I agree. Ethan, you had something you wanted to say? I didn't know if I saw your mic. I don't know how this game works. I'm new to StreamYard, so I'm
No, you're good,
learning.
man. You're good. No, I just go back to what I said earlier, man. You know, I dropped it in a group chat that, you know, I always tell people, you know, you go into McDonald's 10 times in a month and you get bad service all 10 times, you might be the problem, right? When your receivers are they're having miscues and they're not reading the routes right and they're not doing this right and you're yelling at them, you know, and look, yelling might work for a guy like Jamal Williams. You might yell at Jamal Williams because he missed a block and he's like, man, you know, I'm right. You know, it's not working with Chris Olave. It's not. Chris Olave was not in that little huddle. You know, being a quarterback is almost like being like a mid-level manager, right? When you're like a store manager or a shift manager at like a restaurant or a retail store or whatever it may be, you have to learn your people. And I don't think Derek Carr has done that yet. He hasn't learned how to get a response out of Olave. He hasn't learned how to, you know, elicit a positive reaction from a lot of those guys. And I think that's the one thing that is going to have to take time. I don't think there's any other way to do it. It's unfortunate that it hasn't happened yet, but I also think that, you know, around the league, there's less mandatory practices, less practice in general, less pretty much everything, right? Like you're not practicing nearly as much. The off season's a little easier than it was probably even 3 years ago. So I think a lot of that has to do with that. You know, he probably knows how to get a response out of Foster because he played with Foster before, you know?
Right.
So that, yeah, I think it, you know, you kind of have to start looking inward. I don't think it's all on him. You know, I do think there are times like that one with Olave where it kind of went over Olave's shoulder because Olave cut in and the middle was kind of open. But how often have we seen Derek Carr throw over the middle? You know, so like maybe in Olave's mind, he was thinking tendency, but he was reading what he thought was going to happen and not what maybe should have happened, you know? So, and again, I don't want to put it all, just like I'm not going to put it all on Foster. I'm not going to put it all on Carr. There probably are instances. Alvin Kamara had that one where, you know, he patted his chest walking back up. You know, those things exist, but I think eventually, like, you know, Derek Carr has to kind of get a handle on that and understand that yelling and you know, even at the 2-minute warning, he was looking at the sideline and I think I read his lips and he's saying, "Why didn't you tell me?" Like,
Yeah,
you're the quarterback, man. Like
I saw the same
you
thing.
shouldn't need someone in your ear telling you that it's coming down to the 2-minute warning. I was kind of like, man, that's bizarre to like look at the coaching staff and say, "Why didn't you tell me?" Like, you know, in his defense, I think Dennis Allen was on the sideline with his arms crossed, you know, like, so probably should have been jumping up and down, getting excited that, hey, you know, run the play, like get something going. But yeah, I feel like at some point or another, it is, you know, the quarterback is, like I said, like that manager, you know, of the offense. And when the shift's not running right, people are going to start looking at the manager when you have, you know, a staff that, I mean, these same receivers looked really good with Jameis Winston at one point, you know, and I think the playbook was closed for Jameis Winston as well. If we would have saw some of these deep balls with Winston, that'd have been interesting, but we really didn't see a whole lot of it. I'm not saying start Winston. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm just saying that the talent is there. We just need to get it all on the same page and make sure we figure out what's going on with it.
Yeah, I'm not saying so. I'm because of the amount of money you're paying Derek Carr, you can't not start Derek Carr, and it's sad. I was talking to somebody, one of my college friends. He's actually, they in college. I was the Saints. We were always in the playoffs, and so I would kind of have a good time with that. And now I'm getting it back tenfold. And so one of my college friends texts me, and he's like, "Man, I never thought I'd see the day that I'd say y'all sure could use Jameis Winston." And I was like, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to respond because if we're saying in totality who is the better quarterback, you would hope that it's Derek Carr, right? But it almost feels like with what this team wants to do, Jameis, his skill set fits this team. I'm not saying he is better than Derek Carr, but I mean, if you're making Michael Thomas run go routes and seam routes and not more slants is what he's known for, and you've got, your game is predicated on 3 reads and it's in 3-4 reads and then after that it's a check. That's almost James. That's running gun. That's what. Am I wrong? I mean, I feel like that's basically running gun. That's 50 passes a game. Was Jameis' best and worst year was when he was averaging 50 passes. That was the year he I think he broke the interception record, but also had more touchdowns and interceptions at the same time. And so and this isn't me even having a question. This is me just expressing a thought I had when I was watching this game. It's almost like this team was built for Jameis, but Derek Carr became available. Does that make sense? And I was thinking about this. I was like, I wonder if when Pete Carmichael had all this in mind, he had in mind Jameis, but then Derek Carr came available, and it's like, well, shoot, we're going into training camp now. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, and I give the pros like you guys permission to step in and say, Dylan, no, and this is why no, because I don't know it all. So I just wanted to get that thought out into the atmosphere to see what you guys. I don't know. I don't even know if you have a thought back on that, but I just wanted to get that out because it just feels like this team, this offense, is built around a Jameis Winston type of quarterback. Am I wrong in that? Do you guys really, when you think of the history of Derek Carr's play style and who he was in Las Vegas / Oakland, do you think of Derek Carr as the run and gun West Coast offense, just quick, Chip Kelly almost? Do you think of him as that or not really? And obviously we aren't doing the quick yet, but I'm just saying just all the go routes, the seam routes, the post routes, and not too many slants. We're seeing less of the Drew Brees offense, which was the sharp dink and dunk offense, and more of the let's stretch the field as much as we can. Are y'all seeing that, or am I losing it?
I only really have like one comment in that regard, and it's the fact that, look, I'm not a professional in the sense of like a coach or anything like that, but I would equate Derek Carr's game to almost like a middle ground between maybe like a Peyton and a Peyton Manning. He can sling the ball, but he's going to succeed in the short game. One of my favorite things to say when Drew Brees was the quarterback is nickel and dime gives the quarterback some time, and that's what you have to do. And right now, Derek Carr is that's what they need to do, and they're not doing it. I think Derek Carr has the arm. He's shown it a couple of times where he slings that ball down there, and it gets where it needs to be. It might not always be accurate, but whereas Jameis Winston is more of that Brett Favre style quarterback. He's going to be moving. He can throw on the run. He's aggressive. He's going to try and put the ball sometimes where he shouldn't be. You just hope that was just one of the instances where it works, right? And it worked a lot for Brett Favre. And personally, I'm going to do a callback to myself because I wanted the Saints to hire Doug Peterson. I thought Doug Peterson could take Jameis Winston and really do something with him. He's making Trevor Lawrence look better than Trevor Lawrence is, in my opinion. And that's not a slight of Trevor Lawrence or Jaguar fans. I just don't think Trevor Lawrence is that great of a traditional quarterback. To me, he's making the Jaguars look like a much better team on paper, which is what a head coach should do, right? But, we have – I'll go back to – I was going to say – I only say one thing. I'm not a professional. I'm not a coach or anything like that. I'm a guy sitting in a chair right now at 10:56 p.m. doing a post-game show. But if I was planning for Jameis Winston and I got handed Derek Carr, I would take my playbook from 2 years ago when I had Drew Brees, and I would use that. You don't have to make a new playbook. You don't have to call a new offense. Just go back to what you know. There's no way that Pete Carmichael did zero in the Drew Brees era. He knows those plays, and that's what I think Derek Carr would succeed at. So if that's the case, then you either need to do one of two things as a coach. You need to tell Derek Carr, this is not working. We're going back to what I want to do, or how can I make this playbook work for you? Like, you need to make a decision as a coach, because right now nobody's making that decision and we're just doing whatever, but I don't want to keep us too long because it's already late. I know I told Jason we'd probably try and make this one quick. But you guys got anything else before we sign off?
I just want to thank you guys for entertaining my ignorance for a moment. I'm proud to be a part of the Kneaux. Jason, it's so good to finally hear your voice, man. And I love everything that the Kneaux does from a football standpoint. So thank y'all for having me in here. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining. It sparked some conversation I didn't think we'd have at 10:30 at night, but I'm here for it, man. I love it. We'll have to get you on a pregame show where we have, more time and get some stuff going. Maybe we'll just do the show to get you in the know for Saints and just leave you and Jacob in here and see how it goes.
I don't know how that would pan out. That would be dangerous. They probably would say the Kneaux is chaos. That's what we know them for. It's chaos.
All righty, fellas. Well, again, this is the show to get you in the know. This has been the Saints Week 7 post-game show. Unfortunately, the Saints fell to the Jaguars 31-24, but we still have the Falcons that can help us out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hopefully put some more traffic at the top of the NFC South for us to catch up later in the season. Still who dat, and we're out.